Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I'm here to talk you through all of the books that I hope to read in February. January, as you know, has been an extremely busy and anxious time for me, so I've been in a bit of a reading slump that will probably continue into February, but I'm hoping for better things, and I'm hoping that some of the books that I have chosen will tempt me out of that slump. So let's talk about them. Most of these are a pile of possibilities, but we will see how many of them I will actually get to. Two that I absolutely have to get to are my nonfiction of the month and my classic of the month, especially because I didn't read any nonfiction in January. However, you could say that Nonfiction November gives me one free life, as it were. I say that as though I play video games and know how that works. But anyway, my nonfiction for February, I hope, will be Whatever Next by Lady Anne Glenconner. Mainly because A, I quite like her as a person. I think she is a fascinating woman. She was lady-in-waiting to Princess Margaret for many, many years, among other things. And I remember reading her first memoir, Ladies in Waiting, during the Super Bowl, actually, right before the pandemic. My friend and I had a thing where neither of us really care about the Super Bowl or Super Bowl parties, so we made our own introvert Super Bowl Sunday, where he came over with all of his books, I had a big pile of books, and we just read. I read a little bit less than he did because I was in fact interested in Six Nations rugby and the Premier League football matches that were on that day. But we both read through the Super Bowl that night. And it was really quite lovely. Knowing what happened, being able to be up on pop culture, but not surrounded by screaming people or having to watch American football, which quite honestly is so boring. So I'm hoping to recreate that same feeling as I read her second book, possibly on Super Bowl Sunday as well. This is just a collection of life lessons that she has learned now that she is 90. And I think that should be pretty fascinating. Then my classic book for the month, I hope, will be Where Angels Fear to Tread by E.M. Forster. Number one, because I've been wanting to read this for ages, because I always love E.M. Forster whenever I read him, except Howard's End. I just didn't get on with that one. But also because Where Angels Fear to Tread is extremely short. I've picked a lot of short books for February, A, to help get me through this reading slump, and B, to reflect the fact that February is such a short month. I really don't know a lot about this one. I think it might take place in Italy, and beyond that I don't really know, so we'll find out. Then for my pile of possibilities, I have the following options. Number one, I would love to get to A Marvelous Light by Freya Marske, because to me this fits the Valentine's Day type atmosphere. A, the colors work beautifully for Valentine's Day, but also it is, I believe, a queer love story set in a magical version of Edwardian England. And I love all of those things. It just sounds sweet and cozy and like wonderful escapism, so I can't wait to see how this turns out. And then traveling over from my January TBR, The Haunting Season could be an excellent thing to read in February because it is full of short stories. And as I said in that video, this is a collection of historical fiction short stories with a ghostly turn to them by a lot of authors that I have either heard about or that I love myself, such as Bridget Collins, Imogen Hermes Gower, Kieran Millwood Hargrave, Andrew Michael Hurley, Jess Kidd, Elizabeth McNeil, Natasha Pulley, and Laura Purcell. How could that go wrong? In other short books, I may also read Love in Excess by Eliza Haywood. I have been on a bit of an 18th century kick since I started watching The Beaux Stratagem basically on repeat this past month as a comfort watch, so I'd love to continue that with some 18th century literature. Eliza Haywood was a novelist and playwright in the earlier part of the 1700s. And I really don't know anything more than that. I think this is a romantic comedy sort of novel, but given that it's so short, I don't know that I want to know more than that. I think more than that might give things away. I could also read such short books as The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid, which is the story of a young man who moves to America from Pakistan, I believe. Yes. Things were going really well for him. He was studying at Princeton, he was dating a wonderful girlfriend, everything was going well until September 11th hit. And that turned his life upside down for a number of reasons. And so this book looks at how it changes him socially, politically, philosophically, and possibly in terms of his relationship with his own religion. Another short book I have is Gachar Gochar by Vivek Shanbhag, which I've heard wonderful things about. It is, again, tiny, and it is about a family in India whose spice business suddenly takes off, and they go from rags to riches practically overnight, and about the ways that that changes their dynamics as a family. And that sounds really awesome. News of the World by Paulette Giles isn't as short as some of those other books, but it still feels quite small and short to me, so it could work. This is, of course, where the movie with Tom Hanks came from, and it is the story of an older man who has lived through 3 wars and fought in 2 of them, and so now wants to live on his own as an itinerant newsreader. He travels from small town to small town in the West and the South to read the news aloud to people who cannot access newspapers for themselves. And on the way, he encounters this little girl who had been stolen away from her family and taken to live with the local tribe of Native Americans for many, many years, such that I don't think she remembers living with anyone else except the tribe. But it has been decided by the white people who discover her that she should be returned to her family, which now consists of an aunt and uncle many, many miles away. And so our main character is tasked with bringing her to this aunt and uncle. And along the way, he has to protect her from many dangers that crop up, both human, animal, natural, but also, I believe, starts to grapple with his own conscience as to whether returning this girl to this aunt and uncle is in fact the right thing to do. And I've been wanting to watch the movie for ages, but when I found the book, I thought, no, I'm going to read this first. So we'll see how it turns out. I hope I love it. And then lastly, I might read a Woodhouse novel as something short and sweet and light. And possibly, I haven't asked her yet, but possibly if Marissa is up for it, we might buddy read another in the Blandings Castle series. I'm up to Leave It to Smith. I don't know if she's gone ahead. Or if she is not feeling up to that buddy read right now, I could read either Carry On Jeeves or Thank You Jeeves as part of his Jeeves and Wooster series. I can't decide which one of these I feel like. We shall see. We shall see when I get there, but I always love a good Woodhouse. And so I could light on one of these as well. So there you have it. Those are just some of the things that I might pick up in February. There are a few other things lingering at the back of my mind, like a new audiobook that I might get to in February. I have 1 or 2 ARC requests that may come in, but as of right now, these are my options. Let me know down below if you would recommend some of these options more than others, and I will push those to the top of my list. Or let me know what you plan on reading this month. Do you coordinate what you're reading to the month or the season? Are you a total mood reader and just read whatever you feel like? I always love hearing from you, and until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.